Our bathroom space isn't small by any means, but when you open up the door, you get this weird, awkward space between the countertop and in between the door. It makes it awkward. So if someone is brushing their teeth and the other person wants to come in, you get into this back and forth game that's no fun. So by putting in a sliding door, it'll take this out altogether. We'll have nice open space for anything back and forth either way.
There are many ways to make a sliding barn door, but since this one was only going to be for functional or decorative purposes, there wasn't a real need to build it to withstand any elements outdoors. It only had to look good, so design and construction was really easy and simple. After measuring and making my cuts, I laid the boards out and used a straight piece of scrap to line up the bottom edge. The 1x4 framing pieces were glued and then held in place with brad nails. I countersunk holes evenly spaced along each framing piece, making sure there were at least 4 screws per vertical board. For the diagonal pieces, I laid the 1x4 in place and marked the line using a straight edge. After making the cuts and giving a quick test fit, I secured it in place just like the other 1x4 pieces. After that, I filled in all of the screw and brad nail holes with wood filler. We used objects around the shop to make the door look old and give it some character to match our pallet headboard. I'll leave a link in the description for the headboard video. I gave it a quick sanding to even out the wood filler spots to get rid of any newly created jagged or sharp edges from the character building exercise, and then stained it. Once the stain dried, I gave it a coat of white paint. Using a sanding block, I distressed the door. This revealed the dark stain and grain patterns as well as all of the little marks and dings left by the hammer and chains. Then I gave it a couple coats of poly with a light sanding between each coat. On the back side of the door, I needed to add a recess to be used as a handle. I set up a couple of stops and carved it out using the router. The hardware kit I got offline had all of the measurements in metric and none of it was in English, so it took a little converting and imaginative interpretation to get the wheel mounting hardware in place for the correct track clearance and height. The spacing of the mounting holes on the track did not line up with the studs in my wall, so I distressed the header to match the door. The header was mounted to the wall studs and then the track was mounted to the header. During this step, it's very important that you measure and measure again, making sure that your door will have the correct ground clearance. Also make sure that the track is perfectly level. If it slants to one side or the other, the door will have a tendency to always roll open or closed. After getting my door on the track, I realized one of the track stops needed to be on the inside of one of the mounting bolts. So I made a quick fix and then tightened the stop in place. The kit came with a small piece that prevented the bottom of the door from pulling away from the wall. It was designed to ride inside a groove that was cut in the bottom of the door. Because of our carpet and the concrete slab our house sits on, it was more trouble than it was worth to try and make this thing work. I ended up just making a U-shaped channel out of some scrap pallet wood for it to ride in, and secured it to the ground. Conveniently, there was a carpet tacking strip right where it needed to mount, so I just screwed into that. So far I haven't had any issues with it. The last thing to add were a couple of stoppers at the top of the door beneath the track. These prevent the door from bouncing up and off the track. After getting them in place and testing everything out, I thought they looked funny, so I remounted them behind the vertical wheel hardware. They do the same job, only they're hid now.
Thanks for checking out the video. As I mentioned before, I'll leave a link down in the description for the headboard video, or you can just click the link here. If you liked it, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about it, leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe for many more project videos just like this one.